So I thought I would continue on this little shed project. It's been a while since I've worked on it. I've had to work on another project, which I'll show you right quick, which is a house I'm getting ready to build. It's kind of a modern, well, I guess I could turn on the walls and the roof. So I've been working on this project. Let's see, where's the floor plan? That's what I've been doing lately. What I was going to show this time was how to do the rafters. Now, there's two ways. If you have the free version of SketchUp, I think it's called Maker. So I'm going to show you the traditional method to do it, and then I'm going to show you how to do it, how it can be much easier in SketchUp just by drawing it. So we'll start out with the traditional method. So on your rafters, you've got rise and run, and then like a preferred pitch. Okay, so we know that our shed is, we used to know what it was. It's 12 feet. Well, it's 12 feet wide. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna, it's 12 feet. I had just set the walls in. I guess the easier way to measure it would have been to measure the base, the framing. Yeah, 12 feet. Okay, your run is 6 feet, because that's half the width. The width of your building is 12 feet, and so your run is 6 feet. So we're going to draw ourselves a little diagram here. And now that we've established what our pitch is going to be, 5/12, this is how we would represent that. For every 12 inches of run, we're going to have 5 inches of rise. Okay, so we know our building is 12 foot wide, which gives us a 6 foot run, because 6 feet is half of 12. Okay, so if your overall width is 12 feet, then your run is going to be half of that. Okay, so we also know that if we have 6 feet of run now, that's half of the width of our building, and we rise 5 inches every time we go a foot, that gives us 30 inches. So we're going to draw ourselves a little 30 inch. And normally what I do is I would just get myself a piece of paper and I would just roughly just make this diagram. It doesn't have to be to scale, because you're just drawing yourself a diagram to do math with. And we're going to do this in inches, okay? That makes it easier for the math. So we know that this is 72 inches, and this is 30 inches. Okay, so now what we do is we square both of those numbers. So down here we're going to put 72 times 72 equals, and we'll go to our trusty calculator. 72 times 72 equals 5184. Okay, now these seem like big numbers, but we're going to reduce them down in just a minute. You'll see. Let me check make sure it's still recording. I got one of those little black screens, and that always scares me. So I'm going to move this, tuck that right up there, and then I'm going to do another one. 30, and the stinking cold is preventing me from sounding good. I know that's 900. I don't have to do my math for that. Okay, so I'm going to put that right there. I'm going to move this over. Move over a little bit so we can see. Now, here's what you do, okay? You take the product of both of those numbers and you add them together, okay? So we'll go 900 plus 5184 equals 6,084, right? Oh, let's try to multiply again. Maybe I should pull out the old trusty calculator. again, just to make sure. So 5184 plus 900, 6084. Okay, place. Okay, so what we did was we took our run, which was 72 inches, we squared it. That gave us 5184. We took our rise, we squared it. That gave us 900, and we add those two together. 900 plus 5184 equals 6084. Now, you'll notice that 60. If you have a smartphone, most of them, if you turn it horizontally, you'll have a NOS calculator, and you just enter your 6084 and hit the square root button, 78 inches. Voila. So we know that our rafter is 78 inches long. Okay, and we're just going to type it. Rafter is 78 inches long. There we go. See how easy that was? Now you can, a lot of times these numbers are pretty simple and you can do them in your head. But if you'll keep this in inches instead of feet, it'll make it a lot easier to do the math. Like this, in other words, this would have been 2.5 feet, and this would have been 6 feet. So, but keeping it to inches just keeps everything simple. And you see that once you got that number and you just came up with the square root of 6084, it got back down to a number that you thought was reasonable. So here we go. Our rafter is 78 inches, which is 6'6", right? So if you were if you were in your drawing program, look at that, 6'6". Okay. Now I'm showing you both ways. I'm showing you how to do this in the field. We're pretending right now we've got a scrap piece of paper or a lunch bag or something in our smartphone, or for a calculator, and that's what we're doing right now. So now we've come up with our math, and we've verified that it is 78 inches long. So what we're going to do on this end is we're going to draw our pitch. Okay, and the way you can get your pitch is from, well, in this diagram, I guess I have it kind of easy because I can take my compass here, and that is, where's my degrees? Yeah, 22.6 degrees. Okay. So, if you look on your speed square, let's see if I can go find a speed square right quick. Go to my geolocation. Oh, what am I doing? Good Lord. I'm going to go to the 3D warehouse. Geolocation. That's funny. I'm going to find a speed square. Now, this is one thing cool about SketchUp, is that you can download stuff that people have already drawn. Okay, so we're going to move our speed square out here to the end of our board so we don't waste a lot of board here. And we're going to rotate this. We're going to put this on 5, and we're going to rotate it around like this until it meets the edge of our board. Okay? Then you'll take your pencil and draw your line on there like that, and you'll pull your, does that make sense? See what we did? We set our speed square up here at our pivot point on the edge of the board, and then we set it on 512, which are these common rafters. These are hip, don't get confused with these hip rafters up here. 512, and then we just took our pencil and drew a line on it. So now we can take our saw and cut this off, and I'll represent that by just getting rid of that part of it. And there you go. So now what you're going to do is measure down from that point. Okay, 6 foot. Well, you're going to go 78 inches. Okay, 78. And then I'm going to make me a mark there. This is the, oops, I missed it. I'll take my pencil and make my mark there, okay? So this is what we call the theoretical length of the rafter. It doesn't include the overhang. The overhang is just whatever you want to add to the rafter, the theoretical length. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to pull this out and pretend like I've got like a 12 or 14 footer to give me a little more room on there. And this is why you want to plan this out, because you want to make sure you buy the right length of lumber. So let's just pretend we're going to make a 16-inch overhang. And then we'll just go ahead and draw us another line out here just to represent that. Okay, and we'll cut that off. So what you want to do is, to make your seat cut, come over perpendicular to that line 3.5 inches. Okay, because you want your seat cut to be at least 3.5 inches. You don't want this, you don't want your seat cut to be way up here, because you'll have very little meat left in your rafter. You want it to be down here. You just want to have enough to nail into the wall, but you don't want the bottom of the rafter, this edge of the rafter, hanging over too far past the wall either, because if you're nailing your sheetrock to the bottom of your rafters, it'll make it hang down past the wall. See? Now, a lot of people will make the mistake of measuring from the end of their rafter to this point. That's not right. You'll see that that is 6'7" 7/8". Okay? It's not 6'6". So you bring your theoretical point from the end of your rafter down to along the top of your rafter, and that's the length. And then you like I had before, you had that line all the way across, and then you determine what your seat cut's going to be. If you had a wall that had 2x6 studs, you might make your seat cut wider, longer. But you want this seat cut to be about the same width as your wall. And if you start to lose too much meat right here, you would want to go to a bigger rafter. You might want to make this a 2x8 rafter instead of a 2x6. So those are all the considerations. So we're gonna delete our speed square. We don't need that anymore. Now we have a rafter. Now what haven't we accounted for? We haven't accounted for our ridge. We're going to measure our plumb cut here, okay? Down here, if you look down here, it says 6 inches. So we're going to use a 2x8 as a ridge board. If you were building a house, the code official would not allow you to use the same size member as your rafter, because it would be up here. They don't like having that gap, and I'll show you that again in a minute. So we know we're going to use a 2x, so we're going to come over 3/4, and we're going to chop off half of the width of our ridge, because the other rafter on the other side is going to have the 3/4 chopped off too. So that'll make up for the 1.5 inches. So we have a rafter, yay! Now this would have been a lot quicker on a sawhorse. It was actually slower in the drawing program. That would be the way you would build that rafter on on the side. If I was doing it in the drawing, I would just do this. What I would do is, knowing that I have to worry about my seat cut, I'd come over 3.5 inches, 3.5, and then I would come over another 12 inches, and I would come up whatever my rise is. Like 5, that would be my 5, and then I would go back down, try to get you at the right angle. Okay, then I would go back over to where that seat cut was. Where was it? Right there. And that's the bottom of my rafter, see? And the neat thing about SketchUp is that you can just extend, if you get it, yeah, that purple, that maroon looking line is an extension of the line that you just, whatever you're connected to. So now I am going to offset this 5.5 inches, and I knew I wasn't going to be going in the right direction, so I'm just going to put me a plumb line here as a reference to offset against, because when you're in 3D space it's hard to, yeah, there we go. And I'm going to take another line and go up here just somewhere in space. Okay, and so now I know that I want to have a 16-inch overhang, so I'm going to bring this out 16 inches, okay, and then I'm going to extend that line down to there. And I knew before that was 6 inches, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to bring this down and see if it's still 6 inches. 5 and 5/16. Yeah, see? 5 and 15/16. I'm sorry. So now I'm going to finish drawing out my rafter, and in just a minute I'll have there we go, see? And I'm going to go to the center of my building. Where's the center? It's at the midpoint, and I'm going to draw a line up like this, and bam. You see, so if you have a drawing program, and I'm going to go in here and delete this little line, and then I'm going to make this 1.5 inches thick. See how easy that was? It's actually quicker, and obviously when I'm drawing in SketchUp, I'll just do it this way. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm going to grab all that and make it a group, so I can work with it, so I can copy it and flip it around and all that. Okay, so now I'm going to actually make that a component too, because if I want to change all my rafters, let's say I change the pitch or the length or the overhang, if I change this one rafter, and I'll show you in a second how it works, it'll change all of them. So what I'm going to do now is copy this. Sometimes it's easier just to flip it, just rotate it. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to put this back over here on this side. And you see how that works? Perfect. Now what have we not accounted for? A ridge, right? So I'm going to select one of these, and and you'll see the other one will edit at the same time, because this is a component. Now that one will change with this one. Okay, see how both of them edited at the same time? Isn't that cool? So now there's my rafters. Okay, now one thing you might want to do is also, and this is what I do, I'll take off the 1.5 inches for my subfascia down here. I'm going to go ahead and take that off, because I want to be able to use 16-inch wide material, and if I don't take this off, then my material will be too narrow. And I may show the finishes in the next video, but that ridge would go, if I can back up far enough, it would go all the way up to here, plus your 16 inches. And you would want to, if you can find a piece long enough, 16, that would be cool. But what you want to do is cut this off at that 6, like a 2x6, 5.5, because you don't want this hanging down. When you run your rafters out here to the end, you don't want that hanging down and interfering with your. I should have copied that. Well, I'll make some barge rafters. Your barge rafters won't have. Well, I can fix that. Yeah, your barge rafters won't have seat cuts in them. Well, and they might not even be. They would be 2x4s too. That's right. So we're not gonna do that right now. So I've probably spent too much time talking about how we would lay out the rafter, but I think it's important to know, because this is all planning. Okay, this is what you need to do to plan for your shed. So from here, what you would do is, we're going to copy both of these. Where's our layout? Okay, we're going to take both of these, and we're going to pretend like we've got them all up. We'll copy them, and we're going to, they should be on 16-inch centers. So I'm going to come over here, 15 1/4, 0.25, and then I can go. The reason for that is, again, to make the center of it 16 inches, not the edge of it 16 inches, because when you run your plywood over, or your OSB from the corner, you want the stud to be at 4 feet to the center of it. So we're going to copy these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We'll see how it works out on the end. So I'm going to copy these 14 times. Well, I'm going to go 16 first. Almost forgot. Then I'm going to say at 16 times 16. Okay, I probably put one extra in there. Yeah, I did. And 2 extra. Okay. And the reason we don't want them out on the end, I'll show you in a second. Okay, and then these probably going to be a little bit over, and it's okay. We'll just push them back to the corner like that. Move it over. Oops. There we go. This is one thing I left off, and when we were laying out the rafter, and you would want to do this before, when you make your pattern, you would want to do this. You would want to come down 3.5 inches, 3.5. Where did I go? There. And you'd want to nip that off like that. See, that's one reason why you want to make your rafters a component, because now all my rafter tails are right. Okay, this is called being a smart person. So this video is getting a little bit long, and I'll try to rush this, get this done. But I was going to show you right quick why you would nip off your rafter tail, because that way when you put your subfascia board on there, which on a shed could be a 2x4, right? So you would take your 2x4, and it would Again, you probably have several of them, but let's just say it runs all the way to here, and then it would hang out. This is going to be one of the things that helps support your Barge Rafter 16. Okay, it'll hang out both ways on the bottom, like that. When you're putting it on, you see, you don't let this stick up that far. You'll let it hang down so that it doesn't interfere with your sheeting hanging over a little bit. So you typically drop it, and then once you get that level, straight across there, then you would level back. Then you would put your blocking in, because you don't use the bottom of your rafter to nail your soffit to. You put blocks in. You turn 2x4s. I'll just show you that right quick. 3.5. Back. What did I do? Did I make it? Yeah, I did. Okay. See, you would put blocks in like this. Make that a group now. And you would just slide it. They would go beside your rafters. Then they would go beside each block down through there. And let's just put them in. How many did I have? Times 12. See, but there would be another. This is getting a little deep here, because really what you would do is you take a 2x2 and put it. See, I've got myself in trouble here, because now I'm into drawing every little piece. 1.5. Yeah, so let's make that a little group. Let's see, you would do this first. You would put this 2x2 up first. That's what you would do. And these blocks, I see I should have made this a component. If I had made this block a component, I could have pulled it back 1.5 inches and all of them. But you put this 2x2 up first, you level back from your subfascia, you level over from your subfascia, and you nail on this 2x2 first, and then you put your 2x4 blocks in between there, and that's what you nail your soffit material to. And that is why that's why you need to plan your rafter tail properly, because you don't want this. You see, now I've got 16 inches overall, and you can buy a 16-inch wide hardy soffit. See, and you would just cut it to length and put it up. But you would do that on both sides, see, and then your barge rafter would be a 2x4. Okay, so let's just, to make this quick and easy, I'm going to copy one of these. Bring that here, and I'm going to make this a unique component, because I don't want to change my other stuff. And I'm going to edit it. Bring this down 3.5 inches. Well, I can just draw, I know what I can do. I can draw a line on it from here. Yeah, that'll work. All the way down to there. And then I can just use my push-pull tool to get rid of it. There we go. You see, your barge rafter wants to be a 2x4, And the reason is because if you're going to use a 1x6 fascia, it'll hang down, and I'll show you in just a minute. But so then you'd want this overhang notch on your barge, on your ridge, to not hang down past that. See? As a matter of fact, you want to go up just a little bit, because your soffit material won't be able to go up to the center of it like that. You want it to be up a little bit like that. So when your soffit material comes up, it can meet in the middle on both sides. But see, but this is going to be real strong, because that is an extension of your ridge, like that. See, if you'll plan this out right, it'll all be strong. So then I'm going to copy this and spin it around. And move it over, and then I'm going to copy these two and put myself two on the other end. Like that. See, and then you would notch this the same way. We could just come in here and pick a point that we know is a little bit higher, and that'll get that out of the way. I'll have to do the fascia and the decking in another video, but the point is that your shingles would come and hang out like right there, right, and go, like that. So even your fascia board is going to drop down, and the shingles aren't hanging out far enough. But I'm going to come out 3/4. I'm going to go down 5.5 inches. If I get there we go. Come over 3/4. Back up. Make myself a little group out of that, so I can work with it. And I'm sorry about all the rotating, but you can't draw. Some things just require that you rotate the drawing around. And so there's going to be my fascia board. And that's why I said a while ago, your shingles would then hang down. Your shingles would hang down further. They would come on down a good 1.25 inches past your fascia board. Oops. I have to delete the shingles line, not the fascia board. But you see how this kind of works? And so when you're putting your decking and shingles would go on before your fascia. So then when you come back to do your fascia, you just tuck it right up under there to where it touches your shingles. You see, like that. Now I guess let me finish the framing right quick. What you would do is you would have your gable end framing to support this each end, but you would want to come back and put yourself a collar tie in here. We'll draw it out here on the end, come down here a little bit, draw myself a horizontal line. And now I'm going to go back. And I'm going to go down. We'll just use a 2x4, 3.5, which is something we can get by with on a shed. And that would run all the way to there, to there, there to there, and then we'll have us a little 1.5 like that. Let's see if I can get myself a group out of that. What you're trying to do when you're making a group is get it an angle where you're only selecting the things you want to get into the group. So that was good. I was able to accomplish that. Actually, I don't need one on the first. I don't need one on what we call the house line. Because this is going to have studs. Your house line rafter will have studs holding it, helping to support it. What you'd want is a collar tie on each rafter that was, not supported like that. And, on a shed, as long as they're probably, 4 feet long. Let's see how long these are. They're on a lower pitch like this, they're going to be longer. You would take that's a 5'3". If you had a 5.5 foot long collar tie, and you don't have to cut them. You don't have to cut the slope on the ends. You can just square them off. In other words, this could have been like this. You get more nailing surface, but on a shed, you could just sit and cut yourself a bunch of 2x4s on the ground, because on a low pitch roof, you still have enough nailing surface. Where's my rotate tool? Yeah. You still have enough surface to get 4 good nails in there. Boom, 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 boom on each side. And what those collar ties do is just keep your roof from wanting to spread out. Because you've got forces pushing out on each side. It wants to push your walls out. What I'll do in the next video is I'll go ahead and show how the roof decking and the shingles and the soffit, all that works together, and the returns on these are a little bit, they're not complicated, but they're, you have this thing where you come over and you come up, like that, and you build yourself a little return, and I'll show that. And I'll also show you an option where you can just use 2x6s for the barge rafters. The barge rafter is the one hanging over. Where if you did use a 2x6, you can just nail the soffit at the slope of the rafter and leave, and so you don't have any returns. So I'll show that in the next video too. But I better cut this one off because it's getting long. I hope I didn't make this too complicated. It's really simple, to figure out the length of rafter on the site using your calculator. You're using the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Or if you have a drawing program, you just draw them and then measure them in your program, and that's as good as math. So hope you can understand me, guys. I know I had a cold, sorry about that, and I'll try to get back quicker on the next video for this little project, and thanks for watching. Nice.